Imagine you're a gentleman living in South Africa, and a former actress named Shannon Elizabeth, at the tender age of 49 years old, moves to the area and wants to start a conservation. And you start dating her, and you give up everything you're doing so she can start the Shannon Elizabeth Foundation to take care of animals and start a refuge for all the various animals that are struggling in the area. And you give up everything. And in 3 years, she says, you know something, we need a little bit of money. We need to get ahead on our foundation. And also, I'm missing that narcissistic drip that kept me going for so many years of people paying attention to me. And she decides, I want to join Onlyfools. And you say no. And because of that, she files for divorce from you. And within 24 hours, she signs up to have an Onlyfools page so she can, quote, reconnect to the fans. You know, Shannon Elizabeth was never a very good actress. If you're a good actress, you can still get work as an older woman in Hollywood. Granted, it is challenging, but Sigourney Weaver and many other actresses like her have figured out a way to do it. So if you're an actually good actor, you can probably make it happen. But what happens when you're a 20-some young thing, Shannon Elizabeth, who's only known for taking her top off in a movie, and you got to milk that a little further? Well, you decide to take your bra off and show your top off again at the age of 52. American Pie's Shannon Elizabeth, she says, I want more than a piece of the pie. Onlyfools gives me the whole thing. Yeah. We didn't get, you know, Onlyfools did not exist when she was in her young 20s, or if so, she probably would have joined it years and years ago, like many of these washed out, failed out actresses that only had one thing to offer the public, which is their looks, and they don't have that to offer anymore, but it's all they have to fall back on. And ironically, even women that are not attractive, but ones that are popular, are still able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars on the website. At this point now, I'm stopping blaming the women. I just really am. If somebody said to me at the age of 52 or 53, hey, dude, I know you're out of shape. I know you're not what the women really want to see anymore. But if you take your top off and get in various poses on this Onlyfools website, you'll make hundreds of thousands of dollars in just a couple weeks or a month. I hate to tell y'all, I'd give you advance warning, you gentlemen, so you wouldn't accidentally visit the site. But if women were willing to pay me hundreds of $1,000s a month to see my old 52-year-old ass taking my top off, I'd do it too, and so would you, if we're just being honest about it. Really, this boils down to men need to get their crap together. That's really what it boils down to. Men need to stop paying for this content. I'm putting this now in the laps of men because women are not going to stop. Women are not going to change. Women are going to keep doing this. And the reason why I say I know she'll do very well, and now many of you outside of the United States, and maybe even some of you younger people, may not remember who Honey Boo Boo is. I guess Honey Boo Boo was a young woman, I think she was 6 or 8 or something like that, and she used to go to these pageants, these beauty pageants for kids, and she came from a redneck family that was a hot mess, right? Well, apparently she's all grown up, and her sister now is on OnlyFools, and she's a mother of 4, covered in tattoos, way overweight, probably weighs 250 pounds. And she signed up, and in the first 2 weeks, apparently, she said she's almost in the top 5%, 0.5% of creators, and she's made almost 6 figures in just 2 weeks. And apparently her husband's on board with it. And I mean, if this is really where we are, where a woman like this can sign up. Now, I know a lot of these women don't make the money, but if you have any bit of name or you have any bit of following or you have any name recognition, women's ripcord, the emergency ripcord they pull as a parachute to get a soft landing on life, is signing up at the ages of 40, 50, in some cases 60, and they're making tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this stuff. This is a guy problem now. It's just the problem with humanity. Men need to get their crap together. That's all I'm saying, because as long as some guys will put out some money for some of this stuff and women can make money off of it, they're going to keep doing it. They're never, ever going to stop. Well, anyway, she quietly, American Pie star Shannon Elizabeth, quietly splitting from husband Simon Borchett. Listen to the timing of this. She announced she's doing Onlyfools on Wednesday, and Page 6 exclusively learned the announcement comes shortly after quietly filing to divorce her husband, Simon Borchett. The divorce is fresh. She's freshly single and launching her Onlyfools tomorrow morning, a source exclusively told Page 6. We also heard she officially filed documents on Tuesday. So she goes in. Look, I think we can agree on this. If you're a guy that's dating a woman, if you're a guy that's marrying a woman, and she files for divorce and she hands you divorce papers and she says, I'm divorcing you. And then the next day she has a boyfriend. We 100% know that boyfriend existed and was in the background quietly for a very long time before she decided to hand you the papers and instantly have a new boyfriend the next day. Same thing here. If she on Tuesday files for divorce and then Wednesday comes out and says, I'm joining Onlyfools, you know that this is the reason for the divorce. And I have a good feeling she probably brought it up to the husband. He said, no, I don't agree with this. You're a 52-year-old woman. We're doing this, reserve thing with animals. You don't need to walk down this road. We'll find another way to make money or succeed. And she says, yeah, no, I don't think so. This is an argument they've had for 6 months. That would be my guess to it. Everything resets in life. There's something about the ocean that resets everything, slows the noise, softens the edge, and brings you right back to what matters. Grateful for these quiet moments, sandy pause, and unconditional love, she wrote. A rep for Shannon didn't immediately return page 6 request for comment on the split. So apparently being married and running this reserve that's in your name with a guy that pretty much gave up everything he was doing beforehand to give you the life that you wanted with this Shannon Elizabeth Foundation. He does all that. And you say, I'm leaving the noise and I want quiet moments so I can sign up to do Onlyfools and show my bobs off on the internet, apparently. They continue on. Elizabeth did, however, reveal she's joining the subscription-based platform in an effort to take control of her narrative. I've spent my entire career working in Hollywood where other people controlled the narrative and the outcome of my career. This new chapter is about changing that, showing off a more sexy side no one has seen, and being closer to my fans. Okay, we've seen it. We saw it in American Pie. It's the only reason you had a job as an actress. So we've seen the spicy side. Number 2, yes, people in Hollywood control the narrative because they're writers and producers and directors, and they've written a movie, and you're going to be in that movie. And yes, they're going to control the narrative of that movie. Now, if you're not okay or you weren't okay with taking your top off to be in a movie, then you shouldn't have done it. That's on you. And number 2, if you say, well, I didn't get paid enough and I didn't really think it was a good idea, but I did it anyway to get my foot in the door in Hollywood, that's also on you. And you're literally only known for one thing, which is not your acting ability. It was a fresh set before gravity took over, which unfortunately was 25 years ago. She says, reconnecting with my fans throughout appearances had reminded me just how much their support has meant to me throughout my career and how much I've missed that energy. Onlyfools gives me the opportunity to offer a more behind-the-scenes, unfiltered look at my life and a genuine connection that no other platform allows. This means she's going to be getting undressed because with Instagram and Facebook and X and all these other ways to connect to your fans, you can connect to your fans. I mean, I have like 27,000 followers over on X. As far as X is concerned, I'm a nobody. As far as YouTube is concerned, I'm kind of a nobody, which is fine. But if I want to express something, whether I want to write an article, whether I want to post pictures of my life, I could go on Instagram. As a matter of fact, when I did my travels around the world, I had an Instagram account and I uploaded everything there until they changed their terms of service and I decided to leave. But I saved all those pictures. I could repost them if anybody cared. That's how it is. You have all the power in the world to do this. The only reason women start talking about this, reconnecting with my fans, I want to replace the energy, I want to give them an opportunity for a more behind-the-scenes look, that's money. That's what this really boils down to, is money. And I have no problems with that. If she wanted to come out and say, hey, look, I run a nature preserve, I would have, as a matter of fact, I would have had more understanding if she said, I have a nature reserve. It doesn't make much money. I want to take care of all these animals. And it costs a lot of money. And so to raise money for my nature reserve, I'm gonna go back to what made me famous in the early 2000s. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I hope you'll sign up and not only enjoy me and some things that you probably haven't seen, maybe don't want to see, but you're supporting a good cause by helping my foundation take care of animals that need our help. I would have had, matter of fact, I might not even be doing this video. I might say, you know something? Like, I'm not really thrilled she's doing this because it's the fallback for all the women, but at least she's doing it for a good cause. She doesn't even have a good cause. She says none of that stuff in here. All she says is, I want to reconnect with my fans. Yeah, we know what that means. She says, this is also where I'll be sharing exclusive content that you simply won't find anywhere else, i.e. topless. This isn't just content to watch from a distance. This is for the people who have always shown up for me, and I want them to feel that. The Scary Movie actress added she's still very much based in South Africa and continues to do her charity work through her namesake foundation that remains incredibly close to my heart. But this feels like the perfect moment to open up my world, my blouse. For the fans who have been with me throughout this journey, I'm excited for this. The only fans that are still into her are the guys that are picturing her back in her 2000 movie. That's the only people that are paying attention to her. The Creators Incorporated CEO Andy Bachman said, Shannon has always been someone who genuinely enjoys connecting with and giving back to her fans, and this allows her to do that in a more direct, meaningful way than ever before. It's a more powerful model, and right now there's nothing more effective at facilitating that connection than Onlyfools. Well, they come up with so many different buzzwords and so many different ways to try to explain away what they're doing. Just take accountability for what you're doing. I'm leaving my husband so I can join Onlyfools because I'm broke and I want more money and I miss that narcissistic drip that I've had for decades, and I'm getting less attention at the age of 52, and now I'm in South Africa, so nobody really knows me down here. Please pay attention to me again and/or give me money. She tied the knot with South African conservationist specialist Borchet in 2021. The couple first met in 2015. So they've been married now for, 5 years? They made it 5 years, and she ditched him. So imagine getting with, now obviously she didn't look this good because this is when she was in her young 20s, but imagine getting with a pretty, mid to late 30s woman. She's attractive. I mean, Shannon Elizabeth, mid-30s, I'm quite sure is attractive. I have a good feeling. I think most of us guys would look at her and say, yes, I would definitely date a woman that looks like that. You know her for 10 years. You're with her for the last 5. Like, really, when the wrinkles and the lines are setting in and the gravity's really taking over, and you say, you know what? I'm an older gentleman. This is Shannon Elizabeth. Like, she's a sweet woman. She's got her motivation for this conservation and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to do it. And you pull the trigger, you get married, and it lasts 5 years, and she leaves you to show her bob and maybe her vagina on Onlyfools. What's the point? I love the Michael Knowleses and the Ben Shapiros and the Matt Walshes of the world, here on YouTube and other video formats where they go out there and they say, aren't you afraid of dying alone? Aren't you afraid of growing old and not have someone to care for you and love you as you're slowly slipping into the netherworld on your deathbed? And what's the point? Genuinely, this guy maybe had thought that way, and he says, look, her best years are behind her. Her looks are fading, but she's sweet and we get along. And I see something in her I care about. I'm going to go with this. I'm just going to do it. I don't want to die alone. I'm a man in my 50s. She's in her 50s or late 40s at the time. Let's do this. And then at the tender age of 52 years old, tender like hardened beef jerky. At the tender age of 52, she's like, by the way, I'm going to do this, and you can't stop me, even though you're my husband. And since you don't agree, I'm divorcing you. And within 24 hours, I'm signing up for Onlyfools. How do you explain that? Give me an explanation. Is there any point in a marriage now, at least the modern marriage, where you can relax and you say, you know something? We've made it through the tough years. We're in our sunset years. Now it's time to relax on the porch and, enjoy life. And she's like, nah, I'm going to take another go at this. I got some more money to make. I need to reconnect with my fans. And if you don't think she will, just remember this. Honey Boo Boo's sister, Lauren Pumpkin Effred is her name. Her nickname is Pumpkin. And boy, can I see why, because she's a redhead and she's as round as a pumpkin. covered in tattoos. She's making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first few weeks of signing up on the site. There's no hope. There's just no hope anymore. Now, yes, young men are signing up. Let me get off this page. I don't want to look at this either. Find me a picture. Okay, we'll look at this. Yes, and since 2009, I just read a report, and I don't think I saved it, but since 2009, the number of young men attending like Catholic or very hard, strict Christian churches has gone from, I believe it was 28% up to 49%. Check me on those numbers. I may be off by a few points here and there, but something like 20, it's a 20% growth in young men joining the church. And I think more and more young men are doing it. And when interviewed, one young man said, well, if you want to meet a woman that has some modicum of standards and a decent background, the only chance, I think he said the only prayer you have is in church. And he even said that doesn't guarantee you anything, but it is the best chance that you have. And I agree with him. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but it is the best chance you'll probably have. And this is what he said. And this is what I thought was wonderful. It was a good statement by him. He said, and the best part is that even if you don't meet a woman, that's not why I'm there. I'm there for the church. I'm there for religion. I'm there for finding peace and guidance. And again, that may not be right for you, but for this young man and many others that were interviewed, they said, we're not going to meet women. That's a nice side benefit. But even if you don't, we get the church, we get community, we get other like-minded men. We get a bigger meaning to life. And I think that's the right way. There's two paths you can go down the road as a young single man today, or even a middle-aged or older gentleman today. You can throw in the towel, which I think is fine. That's perfectly acceptable. That's the route I think most men are going. You can throw in the towel. You can turn around and be one of the idiots that are dropping money on this stuff, which I just can't fathom why you would do that. Now, laughingly, if you wanted to drop $5 or whatever it's going to cost for a month so you can see how far she's fallen, I might even understand that. If you're like, yeah, I paid $5. I just wanted to see how bad she'd gotten over the years, because all you have to do is play American Pie and you can see how fresh and perky things were back in the early 2000s. If you said, I dropped a $5 just to see how bad it got, okay. If that was a one-off, I could even see you doing that. But when people are signing up for stuff like this and making these women hundreds of thousands of dollars, just stop it. Just stop. What's the point? You're just embarrassing yourself. And lastly, there's the young men that are, I think, finding the church. If we're going to save our culture, and I do genuinely mean this, I don't know. We've got to come out of this tailspin, though. Something's got to happen, because if we don't, the women are going to keep pulling these golden parachutes. They're going to keep putting themselves out there if it's going to make them hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. As I said earlier, and I think most of you would agree with me, if you're a dude that's, a little overweight, you don't look great with your shirt off, but somebody said, hey, I'll give you $100,000, every month to put topless photos, you'd be like, I go to the beach doing that stuff, man. Like, you want to see my pasty whale looking self on the internet for $100,000 a month? I'm going to do it. Well, so are these women. You got to cut off the funding at this point. You got to stop. And I know you guys, most of you at least, don't pay for this, but we need to shame guys that are doing this. If somebody says, oh yeah, I look at a little content on Onlyfools or whatever, shame them. Call them losers. Make fun of them. We've got to make this stop, because the only way we save this society is from the men fixing it, because the women are just going to keep doing what they're doing, and it's just going to get worse. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, or for those of you on YouTube, at least get over to Rumble. The channel is Odd Man Out, because I also do news stories over there. Anyway, come on over, join us. Great community of like-minded guys. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can check out the forums, check out the topics we're talking about, and you can see the live streams that I've done in the past. And then if you say, hey, something, I kind of like this, I dig this, I want to be a part of this community where I can post and share things and join some of the live streams that I do for supporters only, it's $5 a month, which is literally less than a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. So come on over, join us today. I think you'll appreciate it. Enjoy the members only live streams that I do. It's a good time. It's a good community. So come on over, check it out, and you won't regret it.